This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm V.
And you're listening to Cringe With Me, the podcast where we dig up the cringiest articles, questions, and tidbits of human culture to review with you, our listeners, so you too can cringe with me.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible.
Are you going to make me start the podcast since you don't like starting the podcast?
I mean, I can start the podcast.
Okay, you can start the podcast.
This is an interesting one because normally we bring each other articles that the other person hasn't read or heard yet.
Yeah.
This time we happen to find the same one. So being our fifth episode of the month, we are going to be doing this one together that we both have a little bit of knowledge of. This is a Ask Amy article.
Because Amy's the best.
Yes. And the title is pretty satisfying. The title is Mother-in-Law Never Interferes, Except When She Does.
And she does.
Oh, yeah. And the best part is I read this and immediately thought, this is someone complaining about their mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Plot twist, this is from the mother-in-law.
I know! It's so good!
Like, oh, that caught me unaware. So I'll just get into it. Dear Amy, I never interfere with our children's spouse's business. That's a mouthful right there. Children's spouse's business. So the spouses of this person's children. I have a good relationship with both of our kids' spouses. Our daughter-in-law decided to go back to school about 5 years ago. Our son financed her education with the hopes, I suspect, that she'd get a good paying job and improve their financial situation.
Which is none of her business.
She graduated, but has never secured a job. She is in a medical field that requires a state license. Interesting plot point. Wonder when that's going to come up. My husband and daughter both hold state licenses in their respective medical fields and are listed on the state registry. While browsing the registry recently...
Complete coincidence.
Yeah, because you just browse these kinds of things.
Oh, absolutely.
My husband noticed that our daughter-in-law's name was not in the registry. He told our son, who was not aware of this. She later explained to him that she'd let her license lapse. My husband noted that if she'd ever secured a state license, her name would be on that registry and is kept there until death.
It's interesting that he knows that.
It is interesting that he knows that, but I'm sure it's common knowledge if he was in that field, because it sounds like he's in that field.
Okay.
I told my son that I didn't think she was being truthful with him. He was upset with her, and now she won't speak to us.
Sure.
I know I overstepped into their business, and I even surprised myself because I usually never do this.
I am so sure, yes.
What should I do now? Do I need to apologize, and if so, how? I do know that she lies.
Okay. So do you.
Yeah. There's definitely a number of things in here that seem like far too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, okay, there's so much. I read this and it's like, okay, so you're both equally wrong. So he married somebody just like his mom.
Yes.
Poor dude.
And just to clarify, it was signed off contrite mother-in-law. So, do you want to read Amy's response?
Okay, I can read Amy's response, as if people aren't sick of me reading from Amy. From your account, Dear Contrite, from your account, your husband is also busy-bodied his way into this drama. They'll leave him out of the contrition portion of this episode. Furthermore, your final shot, I do know that she lies, makes me wonder if you're ready to apologize.
God, I love that.
Right?
Love that so much.
That was like, I read that, it was like, thank you, Amy. Thank you. Even though your daughter-in-law seems firmly in the wrong regarding her own choices, which also totally agree, you and your husband have outed her and interfered in her business life and in her marriage. Under what circumstances would she want to communicate with you?
Preach.
The way to apologize is to own your own actions, sincerely say that you are sorry, say that you will never do this again, and ask for forgiveness. Now that your daughter-in-law has been exposed, the marriage might be in trouble, and while this is not your fault or responsibility, I predict a cold front. followed by an extended period of frost.
Oh, another metaphor.
I
love those.
love Amy. She's so sassy.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty
sassy.
good. It's pretty good. I
Yeah.
predict a cold front followed by an extended period of frost. Ugh.
Well, she's also the one that didn't like playing spaceships.
Oh my god, yeah.
Remember-
I forgot how she's very anti-video games. Yes.
But so sassy. I read this and we're just like, you and your daughter-in-law seem like you have a lot in like, because there's no reason that he would just be like, let me go look up people's random business for no particular reason.
Oh yeah, the husband's portion of this is not insignificant, right? Like he got up in there.
Yeah, like they were like, how can we sabotage this?
I love how she tried to cover it as being a normal thing too, right? My husband and daughter both hold state licenses in their respective medical fields and are listed on the state registry. Notice she says in their respective medical fields, meaning they're not in the same field
Exactly.
as the daughter-in-law, which means they had to be casually browsing the medical registry for a different field to come across this information.
Yeah, they were a snooping, and I wonder what else they snooped into to get to this point.
Well, she said that she doesn't normally do this, right?
Okay, what prompted this, my dear contrite?
I don't know. I mean, I imagine that she was disappointed that her daughter-in-law wasn't contributing to
financially, and that's something I can relate to.
But it's also none of your business.
Yeah,
right?
see, that's the other thing, is like you see that another couple's doing another thing. It doesn't matter that one of those people or your child, if they're not being physically abused, it's none of your business.
Yeah, it's one thing. Let's say the son came to you and said, I am concerned because I don't know what's going on with this, and I really thought we were going to get somewhere and we're just not getting anywhere. I could see myself maybe being like, I wonder what's going on.
But you should do it with your child, not behind your child's back.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely some sketchy digging going on.
I think if they had the money to hire a private investigator, like that one episode we talked about with the rich family that did, I think they would have.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not assuming that they don't have the money, but maybe they were on their way to thinking about it. Either they didn't have the money or they were on their way thinking about it. But they didn't need one because they found the dirt on their own. And again, this doesn't absolve the daughter-in-law for lying. Because, again, who knows what else she's lying about? Because it's a dumb thing to lie over.
Right. Also...
But that's between the couple.
Yeah. And, I mean, they're married. Like, is it even still considered financing or education if they're married? Like, they probably have shared finances.
Yeah.
This might have been a decision they came to together of like, you're going to go to school, we can afford this. That doesn't... Saying that he financed her education feels very much like she's trying to separate their individual finances, which, maybe that's their arrangement.
Yeah, but
most married couples...
It depends on the couple, and again, it's the couple's business. Now, It didn't seem like the son had come to the parents like you brought up before and had issues or was asking for advice or looking for anything. They were just, casually looking at a government website that they had no particular reason to be on. See, this is a situation where, like, you found some dirt. But my question for you, Ryan, once they had the dirt, was it the right call to confront the couple? Or was it the right call to keep the dirt to themselves? Because it is, let me tell you, some hot tea. Yeah. That is some hot tea. I'm, willing to admit that.
So, I think we can discuss the ethics of the digging as being maybe a little ethical.
Yeah, the ethics of the digging is there.
Once the information's there, do you keep that to yourself? What is the ethical thing to do if you know something, if you know a secret, for example, where you know someone is being lied to? Is it your moral obligation to reveal the lie? That is a difficult thing.
Yeah,
I think in the case where it's family, I understand the motivation. I understand being like, this is my son. I don't want my son. I know my son is being lied to by someone. Regardless of your feelings about that person, they're being misled, right? So I could see the ethical
conundrum.
I was going to say like ethical motivation to find that, right? To address that. However, I think there are other options for how this could have been done.
Always other options.
So, one, maybe they could have gone to the daughter-in-law,
But
and said, like, hey, I know that this is a thing.
Mhm.
Maybe you should talk to your husband about it.
I would say that, but I know, let's say I have a kind family, and it was my family that did this, and I found out they talked to my husband, Michael, before they talked to me about it.
Mm-hmm.
I would be incredibly hurt that they kept somebody else's secret from me.
Well, is it... I don't think it's saying they're keeping the secret. I'm saying, like, you go to them and say, look, I'm giving you the opportunity to come clean about this. If you don't,
I get where you're coming from.
Right?
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Okay,
How would you feel if you were the son and your parents talked to them before talking to you?
I don't think that would bother me personally. Especially because in this case, I don't feel like the lie... It's not like the person is being cheated on, right? It's not like something where it's like...
no.
There wasn't this... There was a breach of trust, but there was not in a way that is so directly harmful, right? It's not abusive. It's just a breach of trust.
I would like, again, to play devil's advocate, for some people, financial dishonesty is considered cheating, because not all cheating is...
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that's
is
a
a
point.
physical thing.
Yeah, I can get in with that.
Every couple has their own lines, which... If you're in a relationship, please set your boundaries with your partner. Use your words. Communicate.
The other thing to consider here is we don't know that there was any expectation from the son.
Yeah, maybe he knew.
Well, I'm not saying maybe he knew. Obviously, he didn't know, right?
You're right.
Said that she
You're right.
him and he's like, what? Very
like
surprised.
he didn't know about that.
He was upset with her, right? So he didn't know. What I'm saying is, there's the point where she says, our son financed her education with the hopes, I suspect, that you get a good paying job, right? She suspects that. They never outright said
You're right.
that. So maybe he funded the education. Maybe they something they went on together, and there wasn't any expectation that she would get a high paying job.
Maybe
right?
it was like, oh, in case backup plan, you're ready to go.
Sure. So, there's no guarantee that there was even a breach of trust in that regard, because there was no outright... what's the word I'm looking for? There was no explicitly stated purpose for the education.
Yeah, he was just surprised that she wasn't on the registry.
Right.
Which, I mean,
right.
I'm sure there's extra steps that go into that.
Mm-hmm. I could see being the husband here in this case. The son, right?
Well, also husband.
Yeah, son/husband. That I could see myself being upset, like, hey, I'm upset you lied to me about this. I'm not upset that you weren't ready to acquire this job, that you weren't ready to go out into the workforce. But I am upset you lied to me about this. That's the thing I would be upset about,
I could
right?
see that. That's totally valid.
So I think, he has a valid reason to be upset. And, but I do think that this was definitely an overstep.
Oh, yeah. If this was on Reddit and it was on the Am I an Asshole post, mother-in-law, you're definitely an ass.
Yeah, it's kind of an asshole move. This is one of those things that's interesting, though, where it's like, does the ends justify the means, right? Like, is it okay to overstep and snoop if you find something?
I would say no.
Because
there's no guarantee that you will find anything. And if it is, it doesn't dampen it. It's just like, okay, good job. Your intuition was right, but still.
Yeah. And doing something unethical to accomplish something ethical is still unethical.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, if she felt like something was off and she encouraged him to do the digging, it would have been fine and dandy.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Instead of doing this digging themselves, or even saying that they found this, they could have said something like, hey, do you know if your wife's on did she ever register her thing? Because her name will be on the registry. It's very leading.
Okay, it's shady, but it ain't ethical.
I think it walks a fine line.
It does. It does. It's on the line, but I don't think it crosses it, because you can give anybody the advice, whatever advice you have in your heart, but it's them that does the thing.
Yeah, it feels very much like stirring the pot, but yes, it's definitely more ethically defensible.
You can't talk about stirring the pot. Do you not listen to our podcast?
I'm not saying. I mean, we obviously are okay with people stirring the pot. I'm just. I'm not saying it's a good idea to stir the pot. It's good for our business, but it's not necessarily good for theirs.
Well, you have to stir the pot, otherwise the pot will burn.
Okay, all right.
If nothing bad is going on, nothing will come of the stirring. I think that works. I don't cook very often.
I was like, there's definitely examples in cooking where you're not supposed to stir things.
See, I can't cook. I will never be the trad wife.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So is my husband.
Well, it's like I'm the one who does the cooking, but I can't think off the top of my head things you're not supposed to stir. I just know you're not supposed to stir certain things.
Okay. At a man giving a woman cooking advice, we'll hit this podcast.
Nothing cringy with that. All right, well, I'm Ryan, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Build Right Roll, where I post about my professional Dungeon Master experiences. You can check out the links in the description if you're interested in hiring a professional DM or looking to level up your own DM skills.
And you can find me, V, at Cringe Queen at Instagram and Twitter, or check me out on YouTube as the Queen of Cringe, and be embarrassed with me.
All right, well, thanks for listening and cringing along with us.
And we'll catch you next time with more awesome cringe content.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible. Only one way to know. Only one way to know.
Hello, I am Patrick,
And I'm Andrew. And I'm Christian.
And I'm Allie.
and we are Rad Theater, a podcast where a bunch of friends play role-playing games and share a single brain cell, and the GM doesn't always have it. Oh, and it's theater spelled the correct way, Theatre.